Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. In 2014, I had an idea. Perhaps my biggest and boldest idea I've ever had. I'm proud to announce WrestlingInformant.com. I was riding high on my dreams, and I knew that this thing had every chance to be gigantic.
Yep.
Some people probably think that we're crazy. Well, guess what? We are. We are absolutely out of our minds. We're taking everything that works in the wrestling website world and we're flipping it over and doing something different here.
But inside of a year, less than a year, it crashed and burned. I think it's time we finally talked about what happened with WrestlingInformant.com. Welcome to the Gary Cantrell Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I always say this, whether it's your first, second, third, 40th, whatever episode you're on. Thank you so much for your support, whether you're checking me out on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, whatever your favorite platform is. It really doesn't matter. I just appreciate that you're checking out the show and supporting me. We're doing something a little bit different today. Normally I have a guest and we're talking about weight loss. But if you've been around with me for long enough, you know that this podcast, while it's very heavy in the weight loss area, is about my life as well. And once in a while, I'll pick a topic from my life that I will tackle. And you guys can go back in the archives and hear different things. I talked about my 7 years in bands, 10 years in internet radio and podcasting, the falling out with my father. There are many different things that I've tackled in this podcast that are not just weight loss centric, because it is the Gary Cantrell Podcast and it is about my life. And today we're going to talk about one of my biggest, most ambitious ideas and why it failed, why it crashed and burned, as the title says. And it was Wrestling Informant. So I'm just going to get right to it. It was 2014, and during this point in my life, this was, so I made the announcement in July of 14. I had just proposed to my now wife probably about a month prior, so I'm high on life right now at this point. I wasn't healthy, but I was high on life for sure. I was doing my live radio program called The Shoot, and The Shoot had its kind of identity crisis, where, it started out as a wrestling show, and when it went away in 2010, it was because I was my schedule was getting kind of crazy. I was getting burnt out on wrestling, and when I brought it back in 2013, I wanted it to be more. I wanted it to be something where you could come and talk about. It was actually kind of the precursor to what this is in a weird way, although I would argue that show skewed more towards current event type stuff, like, hey, if there was a great baseball game on, I'd talk about it, or a new movie or some music I was really digging. It was really the early stages of what this show would ultimately become, and this was 2014, which was kind of crazy. And so one day these shows will live on in some other shape or form, but I just haven't figured out what that is yet. So basically, I had this idea that I wanted to do something that was completely wrestling based, something that was, I wanted the shoot to become, again, more of that kind of free form talking about anything, hanging out with the mics turned on kind of deal. I had a co-host at that time, Chris, and we were having fun with the free format we were doing, but what we were realizing was, as we had guests come on from the wrestling world, people would come on and check out the show, but it was just kind of weird because it was, two different things. And so, you'd have to like splice out the interview and upload that separately so the wrestling people wouldn't get mad. And then you'd have the other people who didn't like the wrestling and you didn't want to make them mad. So it was very difficult. And at the time, I wanted to not just do a wrestling podcast, but I really wanted a website where you could come and not be bombarded with ads. And actually, at the end of this show, I want to make this really clear now, and I'll let you guys know. But once I reach the end of this show, I'm going to tack on a bonus segment at the end of this show where you can hear the initial launch announcement for WrestlingInformant.com. This will be the first time this has been heard since it originally aired and was originally available in podcast form years ago. All those podcasts have since been taken down. Different hosting has been switched, hosting providers, and shows have been lost in the shuffle. And eventually, all these shows will live on again in an on-demand format eventually. So anyway, I wanted a website that could be an ad-free experience for people, because at the time, and this is still very prevalent, but wrestling websites, for those of you that don't know, are very, very much littered with ads. And there are a lot of these websites that when you click on the website, and I kind of explain this in the segment you'll hear after the show in more detail, but when you click on a website, these ads would just bombard the screen and take over the content of the screen. And you would just be like under attack by pop-up ads and things of that nature. And I always wanted to have a wrestling website that didn't have all this. And I was testing this with a website that I had called theshootonline.com. And theshootonline.com was the kind of the test market for Wrestling Informant, without me even realizing, because earlier in 2014 in January, I started writing articles. There was an article when CM Punk walked out of the WWE that I wrote. It was kind of my first test, and a lot of people read that article, and I was like, damn, okay, this is kind of cool. Maybe people want to read what I have to say. And so with that being said, I decided to start taking this on more. And I think actually if you go on theshootonline.com, you can still find the old articles there, and you can find some of my old writings. But I realize a lot of you are probably not big wrestling fans, and you're listening just for either you're supporting me or you want to hear this kind of behind the scenes look on running a business, or attempting to run a business, I guess is probably the better term. But anyway, I wanted a website that was ad-free. The other thing I wanted was a website that had a podcast component that sounded good. It's like when you listen to this podcast may not sound the best, but it sounds pretty damn good. And in 2014, and the year prior to that, 2013, is when I got some really good equipment, and everything finally started to sound good, because when you listen to older shows of mine from 2010 and before, they sounded like garbage, because I was using a service called Blog Talk Radio, and while the service itself was groundbreaking, the technology was not the best, and the MP3 quality was extremely low. The bit rate was like 32, and that's, what you're listening to right now is 128, okay? So even people that don't really get audio, that don't really understand all that, the old stuff, 32, this, what you're listening to right now, 128. So the quality is much, much better. And a lot of the wrestling websites, and I'm embarrassed to say for the wrestling community that there are still some websites that sound like this, that have this kind of teleconferencing audio quality, and they were passing that off as podcasts. And not only were they passing that off as podcasts, but these are websites that have a membership paywall where they're charging people $10 a month to listen to them talk on the phone, pretty much. And that, to me, was just mind-boggling. And I really wanted to disrupt this space. I really wanted to come in and disrupt this space in a major way. I wanted to provide not only an ad-free website, but I wanted to provide a podcast that sounded good, that, you know, was something that you could listen to and say, damn, this really doesn't hurt my ears to listen to this. And I thought that I had the greatest idea, because my website, a lot of these other websites were, they had the ads, but if you paid, you could, as I like to joke in this segment you'll hear in a little while, that you could pay for the privilege to take away these attacking ads on your computer. You could pay for that privilege. And so I wanted to have an ad-free website that was ad-free for everyone. You didn't have to pay me to get ad-free. You didn't even have to pay me for a podcast. What I was doing, though, was I was adding a membership tier that would give you additional stuff. So my thought was ad-free website for everybody, one weekly podcast for everybody. But then if you wanted more, then you could simply pay for that. You could pay to get more. And I was doing, I want to say 5 days a week. That was going to be the idea. I think 5 days a week, bonus shows for members. And the other thing was, a lot of these websites were charging $10 a month at least. Maybe the lowest was like $7 or $8, but the highest was like $13.99. And I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. Now, granted, the people behind these websites have been in the industry for years, and, you know, they're very well known and for the most part trusted for their opinions and their news scoops, because a lot of these websites are founded on actual rumors, you know, stuff that was not necessarily confirmed or always confirmed. A lot of it would eventually get confirmed, but then there was some stuff that would never pan out, whether they had a bad source or what have you. But the people running these websites were, for the most part, trusted people. I was not. I had no inside whatsoever, and I was trying to gain some of this audience and try to tell people, look, I'm not an insider, but I want to give you a better experience. And so the website was going to be all actual confirmed news, stuff that was actually real. I want it to be one of the things about the wrestling websites out there is that there are a lot of them are just aggregates. They take news from other sites and they try to be like this catch-all for wrestling news, and they mix real news with the rumors, and a lot of times they just take stuff that some of these people say on their podcasts and they say it's news. And I don't know why these people don't go after and I guess it's probably just too big, but the people that run these pay sites and people are just downloading their premium podcasts and copying and pasting scoops from these paid podcasts and giving them away for free. I don't know why this hasn't been a bigger problem for these people, but I don't know. You could argue the other way too. You could say, well, it helps get their name out, and maybe that's true. That could very well be true. But I want it to be a website that had just all regular news and no rumors, no ads, and the best sounding podcast you could find anywhere. It sounds good, right? On the surface, it sounds good. Well, in July, I was working for, I'm sorry, I'm jumping a little bit ahead. Probably in April or May, I was talking with my ex-co-host Chris, and we were helping together to develop this idea of what it was going to be, and he was helping me out with the website, and it was basically we were so hyped about it. I was hyped about it. You know, this was an idea that I had for such a long time. I brought it to him. He liked it. He wasn't so hooked on the name, but it was something that I thought was going to be catchy and catch on with people. So WrestlingInformant.com, we announced it in July of 2014. I even made like a whole keynote presentation. And when I say that, I mean, this was all audio. What you're going to hear is all audio. But I actually had slides prepared. I wanted to treat it like like an Apple iPhone launch event. And I had all these slides, and I'll have to look in my iCloud because I wonder if I still have these slides. I bet I do. And if I do, I need to find a way to make these like public because I think that would be just fun to look back on. So made the announcement in July, and it was, hey, I'm doing this show called The Shoot, and the announcement was made on The Shoot, and I was like, look, I'm making this announcement. The Shoot's going to be something else. Wrestling is going to be for the wrestling people, and that's going to be it. And the site, that was it. People were excited. People were starting to get very, very excited about the prospect of this website. And I announced that it was going to be launched on August the 4th, and I believe it launched at noon. I think, that's right. It was noon because that's when I take my lunch break. So I had the website built, but I was going to launch it at noon on that day because it needed to be a weekday. It was a Monday, and I needed it to launch on Monday because, Monday Night Raw and things like that. I wanted it, to be able to generate a buzz. And so anyway, I launched the website on August the 4th, 2014, and I don't think I realized what I got myself into, because I was trying to do so much so fast, and a lot of it was me. Chris helped on some of it. I tried to get some contributors to help me out, and I jumped in too fast, too soon. In the weeks leading up, I was reaching out to different people in the industry. I had ex-WWE writers that were interested. I was even talking with some ex-wrestlers who had an interest, but trying to pin these people down to do guest articles and guest podcasts was not quite as easy as I thought it was going to be. And so when we launched, we didn't have any of that. It was me. It was Chris, and we were doing, membership podcasts one a night, Monday to Friday. And that first night, I attempted to do a live recap of Raw, like a live blog, and that was draining because it took me forever to watch Raw. I had to go back and pause and rewind because there were websites that were doing this, but behind a paywall, and I wanted to. I was so, if I could be guilty of anything, it was because I was so much trying to compete against these other websites. I wanted to take the best things about these websites and make them better, find weak points and offer something better. But in the end, ultimately, I fell short. I wasn't able to keep up. These guys, this was their whole job. I had a day job. But I was staying up until 1 o'clock in the morning doing these blogs and recording these member-only podcasts that, by the way, were almost an hour long, It was crazy to think that I was trying to tackle all this, but I really wanted it. Or at least I thought I wanted it. I was just like, man, I want to compete with these guys. And when the day we launched, I think we had like 4 or 5 people that signed up, and I did a giveaway on Twitter during Monday Night Raw, which was very smart, and I gave away, I think, 2 or 3 memberships. So all in all, we had like 7 or 8 members when we first launched, and that was it. From August to December, when I closed the website temporarily, we had 7 or 8 members, and that was it. Isn't that crazy? But we had hundreds of people that were listening to the free podcasts, and we just couldn't convert them. Oh, and by the way, our membership was $2.99 a month. $2.99. And I think for the first day or two, or maybe the first week, I had an introductory price at 99 cents. I said, if you get in with me at 99 cents for this first week, or for this first month, and every month after that was $2.99. And then if I remember correctly, I think the $2.99 was kind of like the early bird pricing, and I think after a few months, if it got more popular, I was going to bump it up to $5.99. But I wanted to keep it so low because of, everybody else was doing $10.99, $13.99. And I wanted so hard to do something less. And so that was part of the problem. Maybe it was too cheap and people thought, well, gee, it's so damn cheap that, there must not be a lot on here. And granted, the member site was very bare bones. But I was open about that. In the keynote, I said, look, you're going to have ad-free access to every podcast we ever do. So every commercial that I ever air or talk about will be removed from the members podcast, and it was. That was another thing that was taking forever, was going back and editing out these commercials and editing out the plugs for membership. And so that was kind of a pain. And I don't want to say a pain, but it was just more and more work I was putting on myself pretty much. And I was offering up every interview I ever did from my old podcasts. That was a perk of being a member. And the new member audio. So there were 3 perks that I was offering. So at $2.99, you could argue it was like $1 a perk. Pretty much. And if you got in at the 99 cents for the first month, you were getting 33 cents per perk, essentially. So I don't know. At the time, it sounded very attractive to me, but as I learned, because, there was a lot of listenership with the podcast. A lot of people were listening, but, nobody was converting to paid membership. And I panicked. I freaked out, By the time December of 14 rolled around, I was burnt out. Already, I was burnt out because I felt like, man, nobody's picking onto this thing. I don't know what the hell's going on, and people were telling me, hey, I like what you're doing, but it wasn't working. And in December of 14, I told myself, I need a new strategy. I need something new. And that's when I decided to go in on the what do they call it? The freemium model. And I was like, this is what it's got to be. It's got to be all free all the time. Took away the member audio, took away the old interviews. I basically took down the member site, and I tried to bring on more contributors. I added a 24-hour internet radio station, and I welcomed on, other podcasts, because the idea was, well, if I bring on these other people, these other people are going to help promote the website, and in turn, I'm going to help promote them with the following that we did have. And that was kind of cool for a while. People were giving me podcasts, and I was putting them on my network, and we were streaming them and offering up a download link. And I even helped some of these podcasts get iTunes for the first time. And after a while, I think what it came down to was I crashed and burned. Because I realized that no matter how much I put out legitimate news, no matter how much I put out better sounding podcasts than everybody else, it didn't matter. Because a lot of the wrestling fans just didn't care. That's the answer. They didn't care if it sounded like crap. And people didn't care if the news was real or not. There are a lot of people, they click on this stuff for a reason. They like to read the salacious kind of rumor, and as Bruce Pritchard calls it, rumor and innuendo, and they love to read all this stuff, whether it's true or not. They love to go on Reddit and fantasy book to death about this stuff that a lot of it's not even true. And how do you fight that battle? How do you fight this uphill battle to win people over? Not because they're lost and they don't know. A lot of these people know a lot of this stuff is fake, and they love to read about it and comment on it and ponder and guess. And I mean, it's just, you are not going to defeat this monster that is wrestling websites, especially the aggregate news sites that just take other people's hard work, like people that copy and paste stuff from Wrestling Observer and PW Insider and Pro Wrestling Sheet. And, you know, there's all these websites that just take this content and they steal it. How do you beat that monster? The answer is you can't. I tried to walk in and dethrone this monster, and maybe my dreams were just too damn big. Flat out. Because you're just not going to defeat that monster. It's not possible. I didn't think so. I think ultimately the way to win, and I wish I would have known this now, or I wish I would have known this then, what I know now, but I think ultimately the way to dethrone, or not even dethrone, but the way to win in this competitive market is to offer something that nobody else is offering. To do something different. I think that's why Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson with Something to Wrestle are winning, because they're doing, you know, they're picking out a topic and dissecting it. And granted, you know, the wrestling podcast market as a whole is doing better now because a lot of wrestlers are involved. You know, you don't have to sit around for 2 hours and listen to a couple of random ass people talk about their opinions on wrestling, which that's something that's way too long. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, and it's great. Look, I don't want to demean these people, because I think, you know, if you're a fan, you should voice your opinion. But just know that that may be a limited ceiling unless you're really entertaining and you have a really good sounding podcast. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that have lots of fans, a lot of listeners that are doing it right. I'm sure of it. I'd be willing to bet on it. But that's the thing, because now you got wrestlers. When I started in 2007, there were no wrestlers doing podcasts. The only wrestlers doing podcasts were wrestlers on interviews, doing interviews on podcasts like mine and others. And that was it. So the wrestler podcast market is very huge now. And so the window for fans to jump in, unless you've got a new and original take, you know, you're probably not going to win in this space. So if I knew now if I knew, you know what I'm trying to say. If I know what I know now back then, I felt like I might have had a better keys to success, but I did not, and that's why WrestlingInformant.com crashed and burned. And maybe I forgot stuff. I try to get everything in this podcast, but that's why. That's why it crashed and burned. And just know this, that if you're listening and you ever wanted to start your own wrestling podcast, you better have something different, original, and something that's going to offer value to people, because if you don't, you're going to get lost in the shuffle, and that is ultimately going to discourage you from wanting to create content, flat out. So that's my one biggest wish, was that I offered something different. But I didn't. And oddly enough, I've kept the Wrestling Informant website, open. And I think even as soon as last summer, I tried to write new articles, but it just didn't work. My heart just wasn't in it. And I just didn't feel like at that time I wanted to do a wrestling project. So that was it. Anyway, that's this week's podcast. If you don't want to hear the retro audio from 2014 of the announcement, you can end your podcast here. If you want to hear it, stay tuned after this to get your fix of it. But I'm going to tell you right now about hardworkalwayswins.com. That is my store. Hard work always wins. It's not just a store. It's not just clothing. It is my mantra. I speak it. I wear it. I live it. Dropped 100 pounds in the last 15 months, and it's truly because hard work always wins, folks. I created this clothing to inspire myself to keep going, and what eventually happened was it inspired other people to live out their dreams and work hard to lose weight and feel great. It's really a clothing company, but it's so much more. It's becoming a community, and I appreciate all the support. of this brand, and I appreciate everybody getting on board and supporting me and supporting all of this. It really means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. I really genuinely appreciate everything. With that being said, let me show you a token of my appreciation and give you a coupon code so that if you want to go to my store, hardworkalwayswins.com, you can get 10% off your order. And that is using the code Gary's Podcast, GARYSPODCAST, Gary's Podcast at checkout. Take 10% off your order. And again, thank you for your support of me and my brand. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for those iTunes reviews. I'm going to say goodbye to you now. And right now, if you want to stick around, check out the announcement, the keynote for WrestlingInformant.com. So I'm proud to announce, we are proud to announce.
Yes.
WrestlingInformant.com. This is our new brand, our new venture. This is what we've been working on for the last few months. We have built our own platform to take care of the wrestling folks. Because let's face it, Chris, there's a lot of sites out there that do this already.
Oh, gosh. It's endless.
We're not reinventing the wheel here.
No, this isn't, it's new to us, but it's not just new. It's not like we're discovering anything or inventing anything.
We'll be launching Wrestling Informant worldwide on August the 4th at noon. That is a Monday for the wrestling fans. Right before SummerSlam. This is huge because the most eyes of the year, the second most eyes of the year, will be on the product. You know, WrestleMania is the first and foremost, and SummerSlam is the second. So obviously this was not ready by WrestleMania.
Oh, no way.
So we needed to take care of this before SummerSlam. And Chris, I cannot thank you enough. You were very critical in helping me get this done.
Thank you. And I was definitely, because I knew I wanted to be a part of it as well. And it's just incredible. Right. And I'm glad, I was able to put in the man hours with you and get this going, all the different parts that we've been working on. Exactly. So we've prepared a little keynote presentation here, which will be uploaded to YouTube later on with this audio and our entire keynote presentation that I have prepared, spent the last few weeks preparing and getting ready. It's very good. I've seen it, and it is very well done. Right. So our mission statement, in short, the bullet points, because we will have a mission statement on the site when it launches. Right now, there's just a teaser photo up, and it will switch to the actual website at noon on Monday the 4th, which is next Monday, not this Monday. So our mission statement, Chris, is to provide an uncluttered reading experience. We will talk about that soon. To present accurate news in a timely manner. To provide excellent sounding audio to those who like to consume their news by listening to podcasts. That's our specialty, folks. Yes. And last but not least, take something and make it better. Because let's face it, again, we are not the first people to do this. There are hundreds of these sites out there, but many of them, most of them, are getting it dead wrong. So we cannot, Chris, go into this without understanding what is wrong with the current format. Right. What is the biggest problem with wrestling websites today? Chris, I'm going to give you one guess and one guess only, and I hope that you get this right. So, Chris, I ask you, what is the biggest problem in wrestling websites today? The biggest problem, and I've seen this everywhere, is the ads. You're damn right it's the ads, because every time you click, you've got these pop-up ads popping up everywhere. They just will not stop, and they will not go away. Right? Oh, God, it's freaking annoying. And it's like you just want to click on reading a news site and boom! Make it stop. You're with a stupid pop-up. You could have ad blocker on your web browser, but quite frankly, you shouldn't have to do that to get your news. No, not at all. So here's the biggest problems with wrestling websites today. Excessive pop-up ads. This shit needs to stop, and we are putting a stop to it on August 4th. Enough. Enough with the pop-up ads. The excessive pop-up ads. You click on an article link, pop-up ad. You click on another link on the website, pop-up ad. Boom! Boom! Enough. It needs to stop, and it will stop August 4th. What's the next problem?
banner ads plastered all over the website. I don't know if I'm going to a fucking coupon website or if I'm going to a wrestling website. I don't know, Chris. What is it? Am I going to PW coupons or am I going to PW whatever? What's the deal, Chris?
I don't know. It's like they make it look like the Yellow Pages.
That's what it is. It looks like a couponing website. A couponing website.
Right, so it's littered and littered and littered with ads.
You know what the next big problem is? They hide these ads in keywords. So I'm kind of weird when I read stuff on a website, Chris. Like sometimes, because I have trouble reading sometimes. I'm better at writing and talking than I am reading. But like sometimes I like to take the scroll and I like to highlight as I'm reading so I don't lose my place.
Right.
And you might go over like a certain word like wrestling and then you get another pop-up ad. They put these ads in the keywords and you have this other big problem now where now you've got yet another ad, right?
Yeah, it's ads galore.
Ugh, for Christ's sake, stop it, please. And then you get a wrestling website that has slow loading times because of all these ads. So meanwhile, you came to find out what's going on Raw tonight or whatever, and all you're getting is a slow loading website, and when you finally get to it, you have pop-up ads blocking your experience. Enough. Oh, and Chris, here's the best part. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
If you want an ad-free experience, some of these wrestling websites will give you the privilege to pay them monthly to remove these ads. Oh, thank you, wrestling gods. Thank you for giving me the privilege to pay you money to take the ads off your website. Bullshit! No! It's ending now! No, I will not give you $10.99 a month to remove the ads. Screw you! No! No more, Chris. It must stop. So how are we going to fix it, Chris? How do we fix it? I got the answer for you. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
100% ad-free for everyone. Whether you are a casual viewer of the website, whether you are someone who subscribes to the website or what have you, it is going to be 100% ad-free for everyone. You will not find a single ad when you log on to our website on the front page. You will not find an ad anywhere in the actual news posting. That's it. It's done. It's over with. We're taking the ads out of these wrestling websites. It's done. It's done. That's it, right?
Yep, that's it.
All right.
No ads anywhere.
So no excessive pop-up ads, no banner ads plastered all over the website, no ads hitting in the keywords, and no slow loading times. Enough. And you don't have to pay us to take off these ads. They're just gone. That's it. They're gone.
They don't exist.
Just like Jason Mraz said in his song, if you got the poison, I got the remedy. These wrestling websites have the poison that destroys your computer, and we have the remedy. It's real simple. No ads. 100% ad-free access for everyone, folks. Chris, this is a new standard in professional wrestling websites. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. Look at me. All right? So what's another problem, Chris? What else do we know about these websites?
Okay, it's things that you and I have seen, but most people don't see is legitimacy of these sites. Legitimacy of their information.
We'll call them rumors.
Yep.
And misinformation, aka news with a Z.
Right. We mentioned that in the past before, when we were talking about the news sites, is the news with the Z.
By the way,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
By the way, No Stick Zone wants to know if we can still link to other sites with headlines that aren't actually on the other site. No more of that. Nobody's doing that.
No.
So what happens when you go to these sites? You get unconfirmed news reported by many websites. Now there are probably 2 or 3 actual reporters that actually work full-time, is their full-time job, and they have legitimate contacts in the industry, and they try to report accurate news. A lot of times shit gets changed, so that it's not actually accurate. But there are a couple people, Chris, out there that actually try to report insider news. Okay?
Yeah.
But it's still unconfirmed. You don't know for a fact. Chris, do you have John Cena's contract information in front of you? Because I don't. Maybe you can help me out.
Shit, I sure as hell don't.
Maybe you can help me out. Maybe you can tell me what the deal is.
I wish I knew.
Then you get to the next level of these websites, these lower websites that copy and paste the big guys in the wrestling website scene, and then they twist around the words so that it's not even the same rumor anymore.
It's just a whole other bullshit rumor.
Right, because then there's, these idiots are speculating still, and the speculation's getting worse.
Until somebody tells me firsthand, somebody in that company calls me or emails me privately and says, this is how it's going, and if you want to report it, go with it. I don't even like putting that on the website, so probably not even going to report that. But if they want to tell me stuff, I'll gladly listen, but I'm not reporting it.
Right.
And then you get people that bait for clicks. And what is baiting for clicks? Well, I'll tell you. You remember CM Punk when he left, earlier this year?
Yep.
And everybody's talking about it, obviously. And then he goes on like Talking Dead and a couple other shows. And then so you have some of these websites, it's like CM Punk returning to television this week. So when you're a wrestling fan on Twitter or whatever, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, CM Punk's returning to TV. Let me click on this website. Oh, CM Punk's on Talking Dead. I already knew that. It's bullshit. You're leading people to click on your website of something that's not actually true. I mean, yes, technically he's reporting the television, returning to television, but, see, again, I can't talk. But, Chris, it's not what you think it is. They're baiting you in to mislead you to go to their little website so you can get all the ads.
It's deceptive practice is what it is.
Well, we're not doing that.
And
then, so, in turn, to put it all on a little bow with you, Chris, a little bow here for you, readers are often, more likely than not getting real stories. They're not getting real stories.
Right. They're thinking they're getting inside information, but they're really just getting speculation. They're not getting anything. They get nothing.
Exactly. So how are we going to fix that? Well, let me tell you, Chris, this is how WrestlingInformant.com is going to fix it. 100% rumor-free news post. Now, look, I'm not going to be completely oblivious. If somebody sends me a question via email and says, hey, I heard this, I might bring it up on an audio show just in passing, but I'm not going to deliberately mislead somebody to the website on a news post thinking they're going to get some new information. Because it would be, quite frankly, it would be silly for me to completely act like the rumor doesn't exist at all, but you're not going to find it on the front page of the website trying to mislead people to going on the website. I will not do that.
No way.
It's not going to happen. All right? So, let's recap. Unconfirmed news reported by many websites. We're not doing that. We're not copying and pasting the unconfirmed news and twisting it around. Not doing that. We're not baiting people in for clicks. And we're going to make sure that the readers get the real story. Right, Chris?
Exactly.
All right. So now let's recap at a glance what we're talking about here and what people are going to get with the WrestlingInformant.com. No ads. Nope. No rumors.
Zero.
Some people probably think that we're crazy. Well, guess what? We are. We are absolutely out of our minds. We're taking everything that works in the wrestling website world and we're flipping it over and doing something different here. Okay, Chris? And so if we're crazy, so be it. All right? So here's at a glance what you're going to get. And this is all 100% free, Chris. You don't have to give us a dime to get any of this content. Ad-free experience, rumor-free news. We've even going to have some opinion pieces by guest contributors, including people that have actually worked in the business. Chris, we've made a lot of friends doing this show. So these people that have, in addition to others that I've talked to, I've gone out and seeked out the people that I find to be, great contributors, people that have actually worked in the business, are going to write guest pieces for us.
Right.
How cool is that? Hold on, Chris. How cool is that?
No, that is very cool.
People from the industry.
Right. They've been in the industry and they were, I know we've reached out to them and they were really excited about, contributing.
Exactly. It's important to me, Chris, to actually involve people that have been involved in the business, because you and I, we've never worked in the business. We've covered it, but we've never worked in it. So it's important to get people that have actually been there to give us their opinions, both in writing and, of course, here's my next piece, 1 hour, Chris, a week, a weekly podcast that we're going to offer up to everybody, where we're going to do like a weekend review. It's going to be released on the weekend, and we're going to do a weekend review of the whole week's events, the Raws, the SmackDowns, the Impacts, all that stuff. The big news, we're going to cover it in an hour. We're not going to drag it out for 2 or 3 hours. We're going to give you an hour. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. Yes, Joe Rob, we're going to be live tweeting Raw. It'll be on the Informant Twitter. We're going to actually we're going to change, we're going we're going to change over some stuff here soon. I didn't do that earlier, but we're going to change over some things, and we'll announce that shortly, where you can get us on the Twitter of the PW Informant. But we will be live tweeting. Trust me, we're going to be live tweeting this thing. It's going to be exciting. So this is all, Chris, this is all 100% free. It costs you nothing. You don't have to pay us to be ad-free. You can come to a wrestling news website with no ads. We're going to have some opinion pieces and a free weekly radio show. It costs you absolutely nothing, Chris. This is great.
Right,
so
and just so you guys know,
our people.
Right, and just so you guys know, it is a podcast. It is not live. It is a podcast.
Because most people that listen to even this show, it's mostly podcast people. So we're going to offer it in a podcast. Plus, Chris and I's schedules are already hectic enough as it is. But we will have time, and we will have time every single week to release that podcast during the weekend to the wrestling fans. So that's pretty cool, right?
Oh, that is very cool.
All right, so here's no shtick zone. That's a very funny meme in the chat. Shut up and take my money. Well, some people want to know, how the hell will the website make any money? You don't have ads, right?
Right.
You got nothing. But maybe you want to support us, which, by the way, is completely optional. Again, ad-free, rumor-free, free weekly radio show, cost you zero. We're essentially giving you everything we've given you the past few weeks on the shoot for free. But before we can tell you how you can support us, we should look at what the current landscape of wrestling websites are doing and how they're generating their income. Ad revenue, affiliate links, and a subscription model. These are the three ways that current wrestling websites are making their money. Well, how are we going to make money, Chris? How are we going to do it? No Shtick Zone says merch. Yes, there will be a store. We've already got a store, which has been built, and it will be there on day one. You can support us by buying shirts. That would be great.
That'd be awesome.
So how are we going to keep the site running and funded? Well, we're not going to use ad revenue because there's going to be no ads.
Right. Yeah. No matter what, there are no ads.
When you log on to WrestlingInformant.com, the first thing you're going to see is the news listing. And it's a very minimalist design. You're not going to find a bunch of images. Like, we're not actually, if we did not take the photo of a wrestler, we're not using it because Getty Images have been going after people like crazy. So we're keeping a real minimalist approach to this website, Chris. It's a great thing that we need to do is keep it minimal so the site loads fast, right?
Right, it's cut and dry.
Right. So we're going to use affiliate links and a subscription model, which both, by the way, are absolutely optional and have no effect on your daily news consuming or weekly podcast listening. How great is that? So we're giving you all this stuff at no cost to you, and this is a complete, think of it like a donation. Maybe you want to donate, right?
Right.
Okay. So, affiliates. Let's look at affiliates. We have a page currently on this website called Affiliates. When you click on this page, this is the only kind of ad type things you will see anywhere on the site. It's only on this page. It has no effect with any news or anything else on the page. You click affiliates and there is a list of links to our affiliates, including some of their graphical images that are not pop-up ads. They will not infect your computer. It just says this is like their logo. Click here and you can use these links. So we are partnered with Amazon. We have an affiliate link for Amazon. So maybe you want to buy some shit on Amazon. Everybody buys shit on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So you can use that. We are partnered with WWE. You can use our affiliate link to buy merch from WWE. I get emails, if not every day, Chris, every other day, from the WWE affiliate team giving me codes to give you. And we've been using some of that with the shoot. And we do appreciate those that have used those links to shop. Roku. We are partnered up with Roku. Maybe you don't have a Roku. Maybe you don't have the network yet. Maybe you don't have the network on Roku. You can buy a Roku through us. We also have High Spots, who is the they are the number one distributor of wrestling DVDs, shoot interviews, and they have a link with us that you can use. And these links, by the way, just tell these people that you got there from us. It costs you no extra. It just simply tells them they went through Wrestling Informant and they give us a little couple pennies.
Right.
There's also Bluehost. Maybe you want to
start your own little website or blog. You want to have your own web presence, and web presence is huge. And we're going to be talking about that here on the shoot, talking about ways to build your own brand. Because, like I said, we're gonna want to help people, so we can do that. So we're gonna have Bluehost, which is going to be our official affiliate here, and so that is our affiliates right now. We're going to be adding more to this list, but I think we've got it pretty well covered in terms of affiliates.
Right. Oh, okay. We do.
So now let's look at the other thing, membership. Now this is interesting. It's very big too. This is a huge investment on our part. We have spent time, and I have spent a lot of my money, if not all of it. I am broke right now because of building this website. So please help us out.
Pity party, Gary.
I know. Again, it has no effect on your experience. This is all completely optional. We're just throwing this option out there. It just says, if you like our shit, here's how you can help us. Okay? Membership. Exclusive. Daily audio shows in high quality, much higher audio quality as it relates to our competitors in the wrestling website game, and more on that in a second. So if you become a member of Wrestling Informant, we're going to give you daily audio shows, high quality. Here we go. Access to our entire interview archive, where you're going to hear all these great interviews we've conducted over the years, and some new ones. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Chris has been very busy. Booking some guests. Members are going to get a lot of great interviews exclusive to them, Chris. We're going to put some of these interviews here for our paying members, unless the wrestler is objective to that, and then of course we'll have to put it on the free show. But
right,
we'll deal with those logistics later. But we're going to offer our members exclusive interviews with people. How cool is that?
Yeah,
you're going to have future access to our catalog, the Shoot catalog, which covers many years of wrestling coverage. But here's the kick. We're going to go back and take out all the commercials of these previous broadcasts. We're going to take out all the commercials, so you don't have to hear any more of the ads or the music in between. It's just going to be just the content. The shows are going to be much quicker, and you can get right to them. And then you're going to get an ad-free version of Wrestling Informant Radio, the weekly radio show that we're going to do for free. We're going to take out all the plugs, all the future potential advertisers, because we will have some advertisers that we're going to work with, Chris, that will advertise on the free show.
Right.
But what's going to happen is, for our members, they don't want to hear that shit. They want to hear their content. So we're going to remove all commercials from all these radio shows. How about the price? Ooh, this is a big one, Chris.
Ooh, this is the kicker.
This is the kicker. So we have to look at what the other people are charging in the market here, because this is very critical, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
From anywhere from $7 to $11 is where you can find on the other websites. They charge for their digital content. There are some sites that have, newsletters, which jack the price up a little bit more if you're getting a paper copy or whatever. But we're not dealing with any kind of newsletter here.
No way.
This is just digital content. So anywhere from $7 to $11 a month is what other people are charging you. And their audio, their podcast, which is what we're selling essentially here to members, their audio often sounds like a phone call, not a radio program. And you know why that is, Chris? It's because they use teleconferencing services. They're doing like conference call services is what they're doing. And It sounds like crap. It's like a couple guys talking on the phone. That's not radio. I don't want to plug in my phone and hear a couple guys. I don't want to hear like a phone call. I want to hear a goddamn radio show.
Right.
Right? Then you have some sites that are even worse. And it sounds like they're talking through an old cassette recorder. Like I've heard some, Chris, where it doesn't even sound like they have a microphone. It's like they took like a 1985 cassette recorder and set it down on the table and just started talking. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is really bad.
And I'll give credit where credit's due, Chris, because there's only one website out there right now that actually has good audio, and that's the Wrestling Observer. I will give them credit where credit's due.
Oh, yeah. They have excellent audio.
Brian Alvarez over there has expensive radio equipment. He has radio experience, and they're the only ones that are offering good radio equipment. So I want to just, I know it sounds like we're bashing all the other websites, but I do want to compliment them there because they have great audio quality, and I think that for what they're doing, it's a good value. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So what's our price, Chris? That's the biggest question. I thought about this for a long time. You've thought about this for a long time. You and I together have thought about this for a long time. It's like, what do we charge? What is our price for a monthly membership? What's fair? And I said, daily audio shows, Chris, access to interview archives. I think $7.99 is a damn good price a month, right?
It's hard to beat.
But I thought again, and I said, no, we're not going to do $7.99. Nah, we can't do $7.99, Chris. That's just too much. Not that we're not that valuable, but that's just too much money. So, Chris, with that being said, I don't have the drum roll here. Will you give me like a fake drum roll, Chris? We will be charging $2.99 a month. This is so far less than any other wrestling website out there. It's not even close. To get to even $5 on some websites, you have to subscribe for a whole year up front. We are at $2.99 a month, and I think that is more than fair. It's a low price for a daily audio shows, exclusive interviews that you're not going to get on a free website. This is very fair if you want to subscribe to us. Chris, I mean, tell me if you agree. If I'm wrong, we've thought about this together. So
right, because I think because everybody else charges so much more. And the fact that we can do this for $2.99 a month, man,
yeah.
like I said, nobody's doing that.
But there are some conditions here. Okay, it's a limited time price. That's not forever. Okay, that's not forever.
No.
But guess what? If you sign up as a early adopter of this website, you will have the $2.99 membership forever.
Yeah, you're locked into that.
You are locked into that. Because let's face it, Chris, we cannot predict the future. We may get a high profile person who may come on the website and do their own weekly show. I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there. That could drive up the value. But as an early adopter of this website, if you say, Gary, if you say, Chris, I believe in what you're doing, and I love the way that you guys talk about wrestling, I really enjoy it, and I want to support your website, I want to sign up the day the site opens. You will be locked into $2.99 forever as long as you remain a member of this website. And you're going to get access to our daily audio programs, ad-free version of the weekly free show. You're going to get our interview archives. You're going to get exclusive future interviews that we're going to offer to members only. $2.99, Chris. Where else can you go and get these kind of content for $2.99?
You can't.
You can't.
There is nowhere else.
Yeah, you're going to get, the shoot interview archive. You're going to get the shoot programs that we're going to be uploading here very soon. I'm going through and editing them now and trying to improve the audio as best as I can. Right?
Right.
So let's wrap it up here. Let's wrap it up with a bow, Chris, and take this show on the road, okay?
Let's do it.
WrestlingInformant.com launches August 4th, 2014 worldwide at noon. Ad-free access to the website for everyone. Remember, we just talked about how great membership is, but let's not get it twisted. You do not have to be a member of our website to get ad-free access. You do not have to be a member of our website to get rumor-free access. You don't have to be a member at all. We just hope that if you like what we do, you'll want to support the site. You'll want to keep it going. So you have the option to do so, but ad-free access for everyone, even people that may be considered freeloaders and just come for free. You have the option to support us through affiliates, not required. We offer the membership with an introductory rate of $2.99 a month that will never go up for you as long as you sign up when the site starts. And you keep your membership active. You are locked into that price forever. Forever! And the members get the exclusive daily audio podcasts and interviews. Let me just drop the mic. We're done. There it is. Boom.
That's it.
WrestlingInformant.com. The site will be open at noon on Monday, August 4th, and we hope to see you there.